Thank you.
This is man, right? This is so
Is that right?
So excited to start teaching ACI 12. It's so cool to be together. Thanks for coming again to the Three Jewels. And for those you of you who are new here, you knew who I met. Welcome to, let me give you a quick intro. It's going to be warm. This is my prediction. Maybe we can move the fan a little bit. Yeah. Unless someone doesn't want the fan. Anyone?
I don't like the fan.
You don't like it?
I think am I the only one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're blinking at me, so.
She's gonna blink.
No, it's like contact. It's fine.
And
Try to be a Bodhisattva.
a hat. She needs a hat. So thank you. My name is Hector Marcel. I've been studying at the Three Jewels since 1996. I haven't graduated yet. So I hope to share some of the things I've learned here with you today. I'll give you a rundown of the course. But it's the beginning of a new course. It's a 12-week course, 10 classes, a review, 2 reviews. About the most fundamental and profound idea of the Buddha. It's this idea of emptiness, the synonym wisdom. So whenever people say wisdom in Buddhism, they mean a very specific thing. For those of you that have studied this, it is a deeper level for you. It is a level of trying to get that so internalized that you don't miss it as you walk around the planet. If you're like everyone else, you're going to have to hear these ideas over 1,000 times. And I'm going to help you today by saying that a few. Wisdom, 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 wisdom. Now you've got 994 to go, 6 to go. You're going to have to hear these ideas, the way this idea of wisdom is presented over and over and over until something flips for you and you feel that you understand it. And when you do, you'll realize you don't, and then you'll have to keep doing it. And then something will flip for you and you go, I understand it. And then you realize that all the understandings before were not quite there, but they led you here. And then you'll realize you don't. And that's why I like that Dr. Zhu's book. You know, congratulations, today's your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You know, and you will succeed, 98.75% guaranteed, except when you don't. Because sometimes you won't, I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that hang-ups and bang-ups can happen to you. And then you will succeed. And so it's like that. But it's up. Yeah. So let me give you a quick intro of the Three Jewels and the new Three Jewels. The Three Jewels is changing. Lovely. It's been around Manhattan for 20 years, offering free classes to anybody that would like a place of refuge, a place of quiet, a place of reflection, a place of insight. And each year we grow the offering and we give people the opportunity to connect to that part of themselves that turns life into wisdom. And you do it through these kind of classes, understanding Buddhist philosophy, yoga and yogic philosophy, meditation and meditation and meditation, really getting to know what's that thing you call yourself and that thing you think you own, your mind, or the thing you think owns you, your mind. What is it? How does it function? how does that relate to every experience in the world? And can you begin to maneuver it? You think you own it until you sit down to meditate, and within 30 seconds, you know how it really works. And then we also offer outreach. So after studying all these things, we do something about it. We try and help other people in our lives and our world with it. We go to Nepal, we do the 108 Lives Project, we help kids in school, teach meditation in other places, etc. So welcome. The course that we're starting now is part of a 5-year program called the Asian Classics Institute. It was the first translation of the Tibetan Buddhist monastic course that takes 20 years or over 20 years. It was condensed and written in English by Geshe Michael Roach, the first American to graduate from a Tibetan monastery in the 90s as a Geshe, which is a very special sort of doctorate of philosophy, if you like, in Tibetan Buddhism. He's a scholar of Sanskrit and Tibetan, Russian, and he's translated these ideas not just into the English words, but into concepts for the West that you can relate to. Otherwise, most of these ideas are locked from us. And so it's a brilliant explanation of the essence of what a monk or a nun would learn in 20 years. We get to do it in 5. Yeah, because you're so special. Yeah. No, but really, it's quite unique. The course we're on is on course 12 out of 18. And you don't really need to understand all the previous ones in detail, but you do need to understand some of the concepts, and I'll cover them tonight. Everything that's taught in these courses is not anything I've made up, anything my teachers made up. Everything comes from accurate scriptural sources all the way back to the Buddha, and all the commentaries through the Indian and Tibetan traditions. So we're not allowed to add anything, and when we do, we have to say, oh, my experience of this is. So you're going to get exactly what the teacher of the Dalai Lama taught his students, including the Dalai Lama and the teacher of my teacher, Ken Rinpoche, here in the United States. The way the classes go is we begin with a little intention, setting an intention. And there's a few Buddhist rituals that we've learned now after doing this for a little while. And in essence, we do this thing called the Mandala offering, where you begin to think, I'm about to listen to something that could truly change my life. If that's possible, then let me make an offering to whatever it is that turns hearing sounds into wisdom, and ask them, please be present, help me. I offer you everything perfected in my mind. And so you imagine a most perfect universe, and you make that offering to whatever your teacher is. That's the essence of it. And then we do another prayer called Taking Refuge, which reminds us over and over again that you really do have the power to transform a normal suffering world, or a world that goes up and down, into a world that's bliss and perfect. Nobody else can do it for you. If they could have, baby Jesus would have already done it, the Buddha would have already done it, your mum would have already done it. It reminds you of your responsibility and infinite potential to turn everything into bliss. No one else has the power, it's you. And this reminds you of that, about you and your world. So we'll do those. You saw that we did some prostrations, right, when I first came here. That was really creepy because I grew up Catholic, and there was some line that said, don't worship idols, something. Yeah, trucks idling or something. False trucks idling. And so I didn't do that for a long time. Until I understood the true meaning of prostration. Oh, I'm also the guy that turns into crying every now and then, and so they all laugh at me. So when I'm about to do that, ignore it. When you listen to these ideas over and over, you get a tiny window into waking up. You really recognize the horrible things in your life the things you dislike are your responsibility because you did it to yourself. And when you begin to wake up a little bit, you see how you can change them. And when you get that from someone, if someone enters your life and they show you that, and you get it, you stop the resistance. For me, it was extremely humbling when I understood that the way I was approaching this and everything else in my life was egocentric, selfish, and self-important. And I knew everything, and nobody could teach me anything, and of course, I wasn't going to learn anything. And then in a moment that seemed to my old self weakness, and to that new guy that had a moment in front of a teacher, and it felt completely humbling to see a window into my experience, my limitations, self-imposed. Then you throw your face to the ground. And I don't know why that posture is that posture, but it's a kind of humbling experience. The Tibetans made it into a ritual that reminds you to have the mind of an enlightened being, the speech of an enlightened being, and the body of an enlightened being, to act like a Buddha, to think like a Buddha, to speak like a Buddha. So you do those prostrations for that. Not because anything out there is going to turn you into that, but because your mind can do it. So none of it, we're Buddhists here, so you don't have to do any of it. You can do your own shtick, right, until you figure out your thing. My job is to share with you what I understand. We start off with a little meditation to set our intention, and then that really flavors the entire content of the night. And then we study, we have a break towards the end now. It used to be the middle. And then and then you talk to each other nicely. Yeah. Or fight for the chips in the toilet. And then we go home with a tiny imprint in our minds of the infinite possibility that is to wake up in this world. Nothing is waiting for you out there separate from your efforts. Nothing is going to magically go ta-da, except when it magically does that because you did it. And so begins the Hector rambling. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sometimes my voice in recordings comes out a little weird.
Let's see.
Entonces, para todos ustedes que quieren saber, so let's begin. Actually, the first thing I want to say is thank you for coming. If you didn't come, I would still do this, even if it was myself in the room. Yeah, I put a mirror over there and I go, dear Hector, wake up. No, I would. I made a commitment to teach the entire course and I would. But it is infinitely better to have angelic faces looking back and confused faces, not you, confused faces looking back. Damn it. It really does help me internalize these ideas I'm sharing with you. It's infinitely better for me, believe me, to have all you sitting here looking at me and asking smart questions and sharing with me your practices and your efforts, and it drives me to a better place. And every time I come here, I'm reminded of the preciousness of learning things like this in this world. So welcome and thank you, and give yourself time and space in these 2 hours to challenge your normal view, to be open to the things you really need in your world to wake up for you, to wake up to the limitations that you know are sitting there and you don't pay attention for yourself, and see if you can at least imprint in your mind for 2 hours the potentiality of you having a transformative moment because of the ideas presented by the Buddha. That's my intro. Let's do this thing called the Mandala. If you want to learn it, there's plenty of people that know it. And next week I'll probably have it as a projected thing. So you do this funny thing with your fingers. If you don't know how to do it, just do it like that. That's nice. You're imagining a complete universe, and then with your words, it's transforming into physically perfected and every being in there perfected. So imagine all the beings in the universe you can recognize completely and utterly, joyfully, blissfully perfect. No harm, no sadness, no war, no fighting, just peace, just love. And then once you get that picture, you give it to whatever thing is inside of you that you learn from, that says, wake up, you learned something.
Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Pramninyatayani Chudam Vesoki Jagnana Janchu Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipesanangi Drola Benjir Sangde Druparsho Chudam Soki Jagnana Janchu Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipesanangi Drola Benjir Sangde Druparsho Chudam Sogi Jagnana Janchu Vardu Dakni Gapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipesanangi Drola Benjir Sangde Druparsho.
So take a comfortably seated position. We'll meditate for about 5 minutes. I'll just lead you through a little meditation. Yeah? If you've never meditated before, congratulations, this is the first time. You don't have to do anything, you're just going to sit there and listen. The key is that the core of your back is straight. And you're not hunched forward, you're not hunched back, you're not like super like this or like this. Your eyes are semi-closed. And really you're parking your body so you can focus on your mind slowly. So for now, just scan the physical sensations in your body in the room. Just see where there's contact between your body and the ground, the cushion. See where there's any tension around your legs and release it. Bring your mind attention there and just relax it. It's okay just to relax. Focus on your torso now, just looking for any tension, especially around your shoulder blades, your shoulders. Just bring your mind's attention there and relax. Now your head, just focus on your brow, relaxing your eyelids, the corners of your mouth, slightly smiling. And then slowly just begin to notice, as if for the first time, how your body is breathing. Just wherever your attention goes, whether it's the movement of your chest or your stomach, whether it's the sensation on the nostrils, or whether it's a visual image of the air entering and exiting your body, see if you can move any of that to the actual physical sensation of your breathing, rather than the mental picture, the actual sensation. If your mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the breath. Feel good when you catch yourself wandering and remembering to come back to just focusing on the breath, nothing else to do, nothing urgent, everything else can wait a few minutes. Perfectly focused on how this thing is breathing. See if you can press your mind a little tighter on the breath by focusing your attention on the breath at the sensation at the tip of the nostrils. See if you can feel the hairs moving as you inhale and exhale, or if you feel temperature differences from the in or out breath. Just noticing, nothing else, just noticing. Now I'd like you to invite you to think of what brought you here. See if you can catch anywhere in your thoughts, your memory, your intent. See if you can find the reason you came to this class. The real reason. When you have that, if you have that with some clarity, I'd like for you to ask yourself, why that? What would that do for you? You don't have to come up with the right answer, you just need to observe what your mind says. What comes up first or most naturally? Why did you come? And why? Why try for that? No one needs to know the answer, just you. See if you can look at that answer again and just ask why that again. Why would you want that? Just let that seep into your mind. The question hanging or the answer hanging. And see if you can call in front of you to appear in your mind's eye the image of your perfect teacher. That could be a real person or a historical person or a being in your mind. Imagine the person or the being with the most perfect qualities that match exactly what you need. Your teacher. They can look any way they do, or that you wish. But imagine their minds and hearts are completely pure. They can masquerade as a normal person, but behind the mask is every perfect answer for you, even the hidden ones, maybe disguised as normal talk. Imagine their mind completely at peace, completely blissful. See if you can visualize or feel their presence seated in front of you, facing you. It's just you and them. You're like a perfect match. Everything you need, every idea, every pushing towards happiness is there in front of you, bottled up in this image or sensation of a being, a teacher for you. And then imagine their heart. Imagine the highest love a being could ever have. Complete unconditional love. All they wish is happiness upon you. But real lasting happiness, every happiness. Not temporary happiness. And then see if you can imagine what it would be like to be behind their eyes, looking at you now. Being able to read your mind and every obstacle in your mind that prevents you from accessing that happiness. Imagine they could see it. And they don't shy away. They love you even more. Then return to your viewpoint and ask them to please teach you always, stay close, and appear in all sorts of ideas, shapes and forms around you for eternity until you reach that kind of peace. And as you ask them, you see them smiling and agreeing. They begin to rise up and turn to face the same direction you're facing. They begin to get smaller and brighter until they rest at the crown of your head. Imagine them bright. Imagine the mind of wisdom and their heart of love. Just readily accessible to you, just about to touch the crown of your head. Like a guardian for you. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. when we started these courses, the first course is called the Three Principal Paths. And that it's a 14-verse poem describing the entire path from regular human life to enlightenment. And the first thing that thing says is you've got to find a teacher. I found that kind of annoying. You could see I was a bit of an ass, you know. Probably still am, but I found that kind of annoying. So, who's going to teach me? But I didn't know anything. You know? I needed information, and I always shied away from telling people. You know, I was a bit of a shy Buddhist for the first maybe 10 years. It's my secret. Part of it was my secret because I was sort of had, I don't know, some kind of shame about having a really beautiful practice towards enlightenment. Idiot. But at every turn, every time something shifted in me, it was really only because I had the good fortune to find a teacher that said just the right words at the right time or the wrong words at the right time. And either through my wanting to get closer to them or through my rejection of them, did I actually learn something about them. And they appeared out there separate to me as some person that barged into my life. That's how it functions. And then I was separated from them pretty quickly, opposite side of the world. And then I panned for them. I wanted that again, even though I'd rejected it for so long. I want that teacher because he was like honey, you know, and then the honey dried up. How am I going to figure out life without that? You know, I could do all the tricks that normal people do. I can get a job, I can buy a house, I can get a career, I can get partners, I can buy a car, I can fix cars, I can renovate a house, I could mow the lawn, I could take care of my baby, children, brothers, sisters, children. I could teach them rude words, I could have fun, I could do sarcastic jokes. But all of them came and went, came and went, came and went, came and went. Life just, there was something missing. After I'd made that connection, it was like I touched a live wire and then I couldn't touch the live wire anymore. And everything else seemed like I could see how it was transient. So I would ring up from Australia all the way to New York, asking to talk to my teacher. I need some help because I've got a problem. Like, he'd already given me all the answers. And sometimes, most of the times, I couldn't talk to them. They were busy teaching other people here. And the answer would always come from a nun or a monk. The teacher's in your heart, Hector. The real teacher's in your heart, Hector. And I didn't, like, I was annoyed. I'm like, shut up, talk to the teacher. And after that kind of struggle, you realize the teacher's in your heart. And the chapter we're going to start covering in this course is the 9th chapter of a 10-chapter book called the Bodhisattva Charavatara, the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, which is a magnificent manual on how to transform a regular life into that of an angelic being. Like here in this planet, you as a being, as a thinking person, out of the entire range of human existence, out of all the modes you can be human. The human condition has all these different modes, right? There's some pretty shitty existences on the planet, on this planet for humans. Some pretty dreadful physical conditions for humans. There's some pretty dreadful mental conditions for humans on this planet. There's some pretty average, mundane conditions physically and mentally for humans. The human condition has all this range and we weave through them. There's also some magnificent blissful states for the human condition that we can access. Like when you're, I do weddings, now I'm a celebrant. When I, in front of people getting married and I talk to some of them who might be in the room or might not. And I understand the kind of sensations they have towards another being. When we, especially practitioners, when they discuss love for their partner, they're not talking about the love that I learned, the possessive love, the love for my partner. They're talking about this, everything about me I drop, and all I care about is the wellness of that other person. And in that dropping and that connecting to another, the world just expands. It's like a massive shift in the human condition. What I'm saying is we have all these modes of being human. The chapter that we're about to cover goes to the ultimate evolution of the human condition, or a mind that begins as a human and then is radically transformed into an enlightened mind. And this is the chapter on wisdom. The green is on. Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure we're still broadcasting.
So, in true Buddhist fashion, I'll tell you a little bit about the text. I'll tell you a little bit about the things that we learned. So today's class will be this, okay? I'll give you the essence of what we're going to learn over the next 10 weeks. But before I do that, I'm going to give you the last 2 courses in summary point. Like, I have to assume you're already advanced practitioners on the Buddha's advices on how to become an angel. So if you weren't in these classes, your job is not to question, sorry, we don't have time. It's just to go, oh, okay, he said don't do that, done. He said do this, done. He said this is going to be a problem, done. Just get the list, and then we can move to the essence. And as we learn the entire chapter, you'll understand why those things are things. Yeah? Did it work?
Yeah, I think it's still going. I'm going to turn off the autosave.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking, how do I actually teach this and really feel like you can walk away out of here with something you can use? Like really practically. Because a lot of these ideas are hard to get. If it was easy, you'd all be enlightened, right? You're like, oh, thank you, Buddha. Ta, on the bus, I'm enlightened. And they're not difficult as in you need a lot of brain power. They're difficult because you're swimming against the stream of opposite thinking, opposite conception. The way, I mean, have you ever had an experience where you've been doing something a particular way and someone's been telling you, no, do it the other way, and you're like, not listening? Have you ever done that over and over and over and over, and then when you change, you're like, duh, it was so obvious. Yeah? It's sort of like that. You can't hear the obstructions to this wisdom living in a samsaric world. So that picture over there with the big red thingy, that's Mr. Death around holding the wheel of life, samsara. And outside the wheel is the Buddha, top right hand corner, pointing to the white moon, top left hand corner, meaning nirvana. Anything inside the cycle, anything inside the grips of impermanence, of Mr. Death, the thing that destroys, yet impermanence. Everything in there comes and goes, comes and goes. All happinesses come and go in that realm. We are in that realm. We are zombies in that realm, even if you're having the most blissful experience. This chapter will show you what the Buddha is pointing to. He says, if you don't have to go anywhere. Your mind doesn't have to go. You're still here, but then you have to understand that you've been looking at the whole thing upside down. And you'll get glimpses at it, and you go, no, I didn't get it. And you get glimpses at it, and you go, no, I didn't. Until you can get a glimpse of it that is transformative. And that's the purpose of this chapter on wisdom. So I was thinking, how do I share this with you guys? In a way that you just please take it. And I thought it's a practice. The whole thing is a practice. Understanding wisdom is a practice. It's a practice of a view. It's practicing to look at the world differently, hear the world differently, sense the world differently. The world, your connections, your thoughts, your body, your relationships, everything, without exception. is upside down in the current way, and that's why it begins and ends. And I thought, well, that's a practice. People might not want to take on a practice. You know, like, I didn't want to take on a practice, I didn't want to prostrate. And then I thought, hold on a minute. We have a practice. It's called samsara. You all have a practice. You all have a assumption about how the world works. You might not have formed it fully. You might still be guessing around how to get happy with the relationship, or how to get the best job, or how to get financially stable, or how to have your hair not fall out, or how to, you know, not grow a gut, or whatever. But you have these assumptions, this worldview. That's your practice. You practice that view. I practice that view. On the subway, I think if I nudge to the left a little bit, she'll move away. That's my practice. That's your practice. The way you do your life, that's your practice. Where is that practice leading you to? Do you know? Do I know? Do I know? The thing you're practicing, and you are all practicing something. Something you learn, something you assume, something you're learning, something you're trying. That practice. Where is it taking you? Around and around. It's taking you particularly to the animal realm. But I'm saying, really, where is it taking you? And the Tibetans have this sort of, I'm going to share all the things I don't like. No. The first thing I did is I came to a Buddhist center and I'm like, oh, peace, Buddhist. So nice. Not true. Very factual. Not so nice. A little shocking. Not so nice. A little real. Not so nice. I wanted cuddles. I got reality check. The idea, you get this, right? The idea of karma and emptiness. Emptiness is what we're going to talk about in this chapter, but the idea of karma, the idea that everything, every movement of your experience, your mind is karma. Your mind moving is karma. Yeah? It's not like karma is like that, like we have it in the West. It's not that at all. Karma is the movement of the mind and what follows. That's the definition. Every experience you're having is using up some potential in you, some seed in you, some karma. Yeah? And if it feels good, it was a good karma. Psst, burnt up, psst, burnt up, psst, burnt up. If it's positive for you, it's a good karma. Psst, burnt up, psst, burnt up. One after the other after the other. And then your response to it is either collecting little matches for positive or little matches for negative. So if it was yucky, psst, gone. Unless you reacted in the same way, and then psst, gone, 3 more in the box. Psst, gone, 4 more in the box. Burn 4 of them, 8 more in the box. Good and bad to summarize it. Yeah? And then I was thinking, the miracle, right? I'm 26. Times 16. No, I'm 48, I think. The miracle of having a human body. The miracle of a sentient thing like you having these 2 holes and air entering and exiting non-stop for 48 years without a problem to give me life. Was that a good match or a bad match? It's a bloody awesome match, right? Psst, 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 psst. If you live in New York with nice, healthy living, boxes. Psst. If you have good friends, packets of boxes. Psst, psst. Burning up good karma. And so the Tibetans told me this, and I'm like, hold on a minute, just living a nice human life, I'm burning up good karma? So that, well, depends on what your reaction to this world is. If it's virtuous and good, then you're also repackaging some good matchboxes. I just made up that analogy. I hope it's working. It's working for me.
I thought you were pissing away karma.
Oh, no, I was like, what's the sound of a match?
No, you're right. I was
The miracle of you being able to breathe. What is that? To have the experience that you don't even have to think about, breath entering and exiting both little holes on your face, and you have this miracle of a healthy life. So the Buddhists say, after a human life, you probably used up a lot more good karma than you actually created in your response to life. So it's probably a lesser happy experience after death. You don't stop at death. You continue. But you continue with whatever packets of karma you have to summarize. And I'm like, I didn't like that. That's not why I came to the Buddhist class. Tell me something nice. But then they also taught me the mechanism through which you can experience yourself being human and then accessing a realm of human that is beyond the cycle. Wow, that takes container loads of matches to hear the content in this class. Imagine, right, if everything is karma, I'm not asking you to believe it, I'm just asking you to understand it as a theory. Yeah? For those of you that studied it, you'll know what I'm saying. Imagine having a life where you're just burning up good karma because you're living nicely in New York and have freedom to walk and say the hell you want and just compare yourself to the rest of the world, right? And you'll know whether it's good or bad. And then having something appear in your world, a text, a crazy person, doesn't matter, saying to you, I can give you the answer as to how this whole thing works and how you can escape cycles of suffering. Even if it's a crazy person yelling out, emptiness and karma is the answer on the subway. That's truckloads of good karma ripening. For you to have the key to exit a cycle that is infinite, that has been going on for eons in your consciousness, to someone to give you a key to say, you can get out of the matrix, and you believe it as a possibility, that's like bushfires in all of Australia. That's like burning up. And that's the content of the 9th chapter. I probably didn't even do it justice. If you truly understand, the essence of the 9th chapter is the idea of emptiness, the idea that can open the door to the matrix and give you power to say, I can transform this existence that I'm living, that I feel stuck in over and over, having the same reactions. If it's not about that, it's about that. If it's not about that, if you're not sick of it yet, you will be. And then something gives you an answer and says, here's a key, and you believe it. Because it makes some logical sense, or because you've got the right potentiality to see it as a possibility. My goodness. What a miracle. More than this. More than that. So what I am going to do today, the next hour, is I'm going to, like I said, cover the essence of what came before, so we're all caught up. Answer any questions along the way in the Hector way, which is not at all. And then we're going to start the 9th chapter, but I want you to have a week to think about what I just said, because the entire meaning of this chapter, or how you can use it, depends completely, utterly, and totally on your motivation to learn it. It's got nothing to do with the words I say. Yeah, I know because some of your faces are bored, and I'm like, oh, sound boring to them, sound good to them, she's sleepy. It's nothing to do with the vibrations that are coming out of this body. It's nothing. Honestly, try and find meaning in the sound wisdom. Find meaning. Say wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. It has nothing in it except what you're attaching to it. That's the essence of this thing. Understanding that to the most fundamental and triggering a action in your mind that lets you see that truly can shift the way you see yourself as a being. The point of this chapter. So, ladies and gentlemen, those who was here the last course? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17. Cool. Can you remind me of the name of the book we're studying? Now, if you weren't here or if you need to make notes, just write them down, right? It's important for you to know that you're studying the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. or the Bodhisattva Charvatara. What's a Bodhisattva? Loud.
The being that practices bodhicitta,
Cool. And what's bodhicitta?
the wish to be enlightened for the sake of
Good.
other beings.
We're building robots here. Cool. Thanks. They're known to be enlightened for the sake of living beings. But it's so much back to the sentence, right? You have something in your heart that drives you day after day. See, because learning this stuff is just learning this stuff, getting ideas in your head. Living it, completely different game. Yeah, nobody can be there and go, Angela, hurry up, do what we just said, right? The wish to get enlightened for the sake of every living being. You imagine waking up every morning and the first thought you have is, I want to wake up. It seems weird in this realm. All I want is to wake up from the matrix, meaning I want to have an experience that is solid here and not changing. So I can help those people that I see around me struggling with the same CRAP that I've seen struggle day after day after day. All my friends, all my family, all the movies, everyone's struggling with the same thing. Why haven't we figured it out? We've been on the planet for millennia. Why haven't we figured out relationships? Why haven't you figured out money? Why haven't you figured out self-esteem, depression? Because when you do, and until you don't, and then you don't. Then you do, and then you don't, and it changes. What if it's the wish to not have that, and in its place have something that goes far beyond that, that underpins all of it, and then you understand the true mechanics of where we're at. That wish, and not just for you, not just so you don't have to go through depression and anger and frustration and so on, but so you can truly help those beings that you love figure out the same thing. Because how can you show them if you didn't figure it out? So that's the essence of being a bodhisattva. This is a guidebook to figure out how to do that. And here goes the really quick. Oh, right, and I need to tell you, out of the Geshe degree course, that this is the 18 courses, this isn't taught as one of the main books in the Geshe degree. Did you know that? It's not taught in the formal 5 main texts of Mahayana Buddhism. Why? Right? Like it's the essence of Mahayana. However, it's not taught in, the Tibetans love it. It's taught in a very private way. So you still go and you do your monastic thing, and then you go and beg for a teacher to teach you this text. And you might take a while, but you'll get the download from either His Holiness or traditionally it would have been the 2 teachers of the Dalai Lama teaching you this text. And you go and do it in a private thing as an auxiliary to your Geshe degree. So if you had to pick out of all the chapters, there are 10, right? If you just had to pick which is the most important chapter, you'd have to say it's the chapter on wisdom, the chapter that we're about to study. It was written 1300 years ago. And if you remember the story, when Master Shantideva, who was the master that wrote and recited this text, started teaching, or got to the 9th chapter, remember the story? He started floating off. Yeah, I promise I will not float off. The promise, I won't, I'm a little heavy. So, he started floating off, and I think what that's also implying is that it's difficult to grasp. It's not going to be easy to grasp the ideas of emptiness and to apply them. Yeah? And so very few people with special powers could hear it. So first of all, it's difficult to get the download from the Bodhisattva Charvatara, even at monastic level. It's extremely difficult to understand the 9th chapter. And we've got a perfect download all the way from Master Shantideva, the commentary, which is from Gyaltsen J, and an amazing English translation from Geshe Michael. That's stunning access to this thing. Talk about... Okay. Do you remember the first chapter? I want to just cover the 10 chapters to finish. first chapter was all about telling you the benefits, right, of saying, why would you ever want to ignite in your heart a fervor to get enlightened for the sake of every living being? So it went through this beautiful explanation of all the benefits of having this wish in your heart and how it can transform everything. Ultimately, it leads you to enlightenment. It lets you become a Buddha. It lets you help every living being truly. And then he talked about the second chapter. Do you remember what that was? Great, clearing obstacles. So imagine that you could get this thing in your heart. No, this is what I want. If you don't learn it, then what's the point? Right? You need to figure it out. Once you get the download, once you remember it, then you can practice it. If you don't remember it, you can't practice it. Right? This is just talking. I'm just your friend. I'm just talking. You have to do it. You have to do something with it. I'm trying to do something with it. And it's transformative. It's stunning. The second one is, once you understand the benefits of trying to get that wish for enlightenment for the sake of living beings, you go, oh my goodness, that is like the most magnificent idea I could ever think of on the planet. Because you understand the benefits. It would lead you out of suffering, and it will force you to have a perception that you could shift the world. And you can. You can fix other people's problems. Yeah. Then it says, well, it's not as easy as that. You need to clarify obstacles, meaning there's things blocking us from understanding that. And if I want to summarize chapter 2, 3, and 4, it really is the 7 limb practice at the beginning of your meditation. Do you remember what they are? So the practices that purify obstacles are prostrations, offerings, making offerings, yeah, taking refuge, and doing the purification, the 4 forces, right? Remember, you do the purification and then the rejoicing. Yeah, cool. And then in the chapter 3, we talk about gaining the wish, like developing that state of mind, and you do the actual ceremony. So there's a whole process of, I really want to have this state of mind that wants to wake up. So it becomes your everyday, going, there's an opportunity here to really see the world in a different way. If I get that, I could really help the world. I know I can't do that just because I wish it. I actually need to wash the screen through which I experience the world. And you do that through those practices. And then in this tradition, you take a ceremony. You create a vow out of it. You take a vow. That's chapter 3. And it's actually, if you were here for a couple of funeral services that we did, we read the 3rd chapter. And it's this magnificent wish to help all beings. May I be the rain for those. May I be this, may I be that. It's really a stunning chapter. You do the ceremony, and then you rejoice. You are really happy that you can get the idea to get this wish. You then ask for teachings. You ask them, teachers to stay, and then you dedicate goodness and you surrender to this idea. And then the next chapter is learning to be careful, meaning imagine that you do have in your heart, however you get it, you might be on the train looking at a person that you normally would reject. And in this instance, you love them. And it came out of nowhere because you've been thinking about it, right? And then you look at that person and you're surprised at yourself how much you wish nothing else but their happiness. Like a selfless thought. And imagine how that would move you. But it's like a little baby seedling. You just started. If you're not careful, you'll get squashed by old habits. So this chapter is all about keeping that little baby seed from being squashed by old habits. And so you have watchfulness, tempa, and you have and recollection. To try, and those 2 forces begin the practice of ethical living. Because now you've got this thing and you want to keep it well, and you begin having 2 states of mind. You watch yourself as you're walking around in the subway. You recollect the point, which is to want to wake up for the sake of everyone. right? We're up to chapter 5, I think. And then in the last course, we did 3 perfections. We did the perfection of patience, the perfection of effort, the perfection of meditation. Yeah? Give me the essence of the perfection of patience. Say it really loud. So,
Not getting angry when you're supposed to get angry.
yeah, so that was a surprise for me. You know, patience I thought was, Buddhists are so, they're patient. They sit for the bus for a long time without getting annoyed. And so it's sort of like that. The number 1 destructive force to developing this state of mind and therefore becoming a being like that or like that or like that is anger. This is the main act, getting angry. And I want to talk a little bit about that because that's called the perfection of patience. Who's been angry in the last 24 hours? Let's do the opposite of the 6 perfections. The opposite of the 6 perfections. Who's perfected anger? Where does it come from? You know, it chokes you up. And do you remember the verse in the Bodhisattva Charivatara that?
Something about upsetness? Like
No, that's the next one. Good. That's the source. That's the thing that feeds anger. That's like the thing that we have to go and attack. But do you remember why anger is such a problem? Remember the verse? Great. So anger directed at a bodhisattva, at somebody who's trying to live this way of life, will destroy eons of all the goodness you could ever do. Like it grabs the container and shiploads full of those good matches that I was talking about, and it just sinks it. Bye-bye. You have to develop them again. And you're left with the crappy ones. Nice. Available for your next experience. And I thought, they're exaggerating. Once you meditate on these things, right? Once you meditate on these things, you can understand what it is that they're talking about. Actually, you don't even need to meditate on it. Who's had an amazing friend earlier in life, a loving friend, a perfect friend, and then 1 or 2 exchanges that turned sour, turned that friendship into I'm not talking to you anymore, ever. Who's had that? Yeah? 3-minute conversation. A shift of ideas. Particularly the one that says, they must have always thought that. And then severed. Years of it. So you don't even have to talk about eons. You just look at this life. A moment of anger can destroy goodness. And it's not like a threat or anything. It's like a reality, like I just explained. So the biggest threat to developing this heart of a bodhisattva is your capacity to be angry, your habit of anger. And so Master Shantideva in the last course just hammered home over and over and over and over all the techniques for not getting angry when you're not supposed to, when you are supposed to. In this world, you're supposed to get angry when certain things go bad. If someone hurts you, you hurt them. If someone's threatening your country, you bomb them. And Master Shantideva goes, that's just how you get more of that. I punch you, you punch me. You punch, I punch. You punch, I punch. Where's the end of that? Punch. Punch. And then you're dead. Anger doesn't help. Not only that, look at it. Whatever it is that got you angry, you wanted it shifted, right? You wanted it changed. How's anger going to change it? Be different. Maybe you have to work at it. Maybe you've got to do something. Anger just destroys your capacity to look at things clearly. It blinds you more. So if you get a chance, reread that chapter. So then he says, there's something feeding anger, and Rachel was heading there, right? You know, when anger comes, it's sort of difficult for me. Like, Angela, have you been angry in the last month? Yeah, me too. We're the same. No. Can anybody tell you in the midst of your anger, like when you're angry, in the middle of it, can anybody tell you, excuse me, can you just change a little bit now? No. Same. So Master Shantara goes, go before anger. Where's anger come from? And it feeds off upsetness, being upset, right? Having this sense of annoyance. So attack the thing before the thing that got you angry. Try and find out all the things that get you upset and start working your game plan to not get there. Don't feed anger. Anger is this monster that gets fed on you being upset here and there. It's like low-level radiation in your life. Anything that annoys you, even your annoyance about you being annoyed, is food for anger. Just grows the boxes of upsetness that can just burn and sink your ship. And then, so what else is there to say? The bottom line is like, don't be angry. Work on reducing anger, because that will just clear out shipload after shipload after shipload of goodness that can come through. Because every day that we have upsetness, we're sinking shiploads of goodness. That's why our lives do this. So what if you developed a way to not sink all your goodness with low-level radiation? Invisible goodness disappearing. What if you figure that? So all of a sudden you'd have a, what do you call a group of ships? A fleet. A what? A gang. You'd have a fleet, thank you, of good natures. I'm going to go with this analogy all the way. And then, so he's going through the 6 perfections, right? So he's done ethics, he's done patience, he's about to do effort, joyful effort. Which, do you remember the first line of that chapter? It's the wind that moves the flame. Yeah? So he's saying that you can't develop any of these things that are in the 6 perfections in the Bodhisattva character without this thing called effort. And in brackets, well, the first line says, the second line says, what is effort? Effort is joy in doing good. Yeah? Now, can you be forced to be joyful? Be joyful now. No, do it. But can you develop the habit, the auto response to be joyful? It's just a habit. And you can be a grumpy old man or woman, or you can be a happy old man or woman, and it's just a habit. And it's, how do I say, I've seen it in my own mind. It's sneaky, little bastard. Yeah? It sneaks in as little voices of disappointment or rolling the eyes. Or Stephen and I are really good at dry sarcasm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And it's got a little flavor of that. And so it's got a little ship fleet of its own. This non-joy. Yeah? Oh, that didn't work out. I did a really good thing, but it didn't work out. But you do things in your life, and then it's your job to attach a habit of looking at it positively, even if it didn't work out. Can you determine how anything at all is going to work out on the planet? Can you tell me what the next 2 minutes is going to be like? For sure, like 100%.
People are going to start screaming. That's
But you see, it's just a guess, right? Based on past experience. And this is like, I want to throw this in here because it's been annoying me. No, it's been in my mind for a while. This fascination with neuroscience, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. But I think honestly, without sounding scientifically heretical, I think we have it upside down. I don't think that we feel and think, the patterns of behavior that we do because our brain is shaped in a certain way. I think our brain is shaped in a certain way as a map or reflection of what's happening in our mind, which is not the brain. The thoughts, the experiences we have create a map, like you would put sand on a speaker, and the different sounds will create a different pattern. Neural pathways will occur that way. I can say, actually that's what I'm saying. That's what I say. I said that. Not in the books. Yeah? But it's an awesome fascination because you can see evidence of a physical thing appearing from a mental. And so you can create. Neuron pathways will say you are on the right track if you can develop those habits of joy. You can, oh, I've got proof, I've measured it. But by the time you've measured it, too late. It's already a pattern. You know? I don't know why it gives us hope. Oh, I can see it. It's a pattern. By the time you've measured it, it's already there. So, what if, honestly, this is like a game changer for you to realize that every single thing that occurs to you, in you, through you, can be colored with joy. And you find it, and you color it, and you tell me the difference after 3 months. I sat on my dad's deathbed, and it was the most joyful experience I've ever had, of the most tragic experience a human can have. It was an open-hearted love experience, holding his hand, and the joy of having the possibility of sharing this very last experience with his mind filled my heart with joy. And I used that up in my regatta, armada. In my armada of joy. And then the last chapter was the chapter on concentration, on developing a mind that can go deeper and deeper and deeper, understanding its nature, how this experience of life appears to us and how you can shift it. And there were two main advices. There was an offensive and a defensive kind of meditation. Do you remember that? All Master Shantideva taught in the meditation chapter was not how to sit, how to go through the 9 stages of meditation. He taught what to focus on, which was other people, everyone else. If you want to serve the Buddhas, if you want to do what Buddhas do, take care of everyone else. Go in isolation, and the first thing you should bring up to mind is everyone else. Right? And care for them. Swap yourself for them, remember that? Treat them as if they were you. And secondly, if you want to go a little higher, more importantly, yeah, they are you. Yeah? Exchange yourself for others. And that brings us to the course that we're about to cover. And before I start, have a break, have 10 minutes, eat guacamole made by the beautiful Florence. It's a natural offering, yeah? And we'll be back at 5 past or 10 past, you decide. Merry Christmas, thank you. I think I'm good. I will, just for flavor. Thank you. Hey, you made it. Did you like that I used your name in the class? Just want everyone to know. Everybody, say hi to Angela. Go and say hi to her outside.
Hex, why can't I do this? Can you just type it in really quick? I don't think I can spell it properly. Really?
Hey G, I can see you. Oh, it's probably because I used up all the keys.
Thank you.
I didn't do anything that I wanted to.